members are present, 1 member absent. Absent member is Leon Clement, Precinct 4.
He will be here momentarily. He's checking on some jury duties.
Absent. Absent member is Leon Clement.
That's what you sound like.
Doesn't sound good. If no one has any opposition, can we move to item number 3 and let's talk about ARPA since the sheriff's here and we can discuss the jail and whatnot? Everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll start off with, we're going to discuss opportunities for the ARPA money. Shelley, you correct me where I'm wrong here, but as I understand it, we have to identify the usage for the money by the end of the calendar year 24 and actually use the money by the end of the calendar year 26.
Correct.
One of the things that was discussed, and that was the reason I asked the sheriff here today, is the possibility of using a portion of this money for new jail facilities. Sheriff, could you kind of give us an indication of how we're doing as far as having the ability to accommodate and what you think the growth will be and when?
So we've been averaging about 162 inmates. As you know, we have a 212-bed facility, but that's a little bit misleading because of the female pod area. So really, to be maxed out, we would be probably 185, 190. We would be busting at the seams. So you can see that we're really about 25 from being maxed out. So we do have Senate Bill 8. Part of it goes into effect in December and part of it goes into effect in January. That's going to affect some numbers as well. It has to do with bail reform. And so I've asked Larry to look into that and give me a number on what he thinks realistically how that's going to affect us. But I can tell you, or what I can tell you at this point is it will affect numbers. Our numbers will grow a little because of that restrictive Senate Bill 8. So I really, some of you, Gary, you may have an idea about where we're going. Commissioner Snow, you've mentioned 300 to 400 homes, maybe, if they all came in down there. So anyway, growth is coming. No doubt about that. So I think it's you all and we, it would be to our benefit if we start planning now and start looking now. I talked to Gary out in the hall during the past sheriff's conference. I did more cost effective maybe to look at going through them. I'm sure they have their drawings and schematics, and the jail was designed to carry on to the south.
That's what I was going to ask. We do have room to the south, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure exactly what property we have out there. So.
You've got about 8 or 9 acres left.
Oh, okay. Oh, we got a lot.
Pretty good ways.
I was worried when I mentioned in our last budget workshop, or not budget workshop, but just buildings workshop, that we'd actually have to build a whole new facility, but we can add on to what we have.
We can add on to what we have.
Okay.
A lot of people are
That's
talking about moving other things out there.
That would.
You don't want to just start moving other things out there because you got to find out how much room the jail's going to take up first.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to cover the rest of that territory up with something else, probation or whatever, and then find out, well, now in the future, we're going to, maybe 20 years from now, we're going to have to move the jail because we used up property for
I
something.
don't want to landlock it.
No, I think that
So
that needs to be
the judge had some preliminary numbers there, but Texas jail standards requires us to have one jailer per 48 inmates. And so typically when you see jail expansion, we have pods right now, and when you go down into that pod area, there are 6 individual individual pod sections, which hold 8 inmates. And that's why it's designed that way, 48 down in there on each side. So, you know, that would tell you that, well, you'd want to expand 48, times 2, or you go again 48 times 2, so we would want to do it evenly down through there. But I'm going to say something else besides the jail. There's no doubt that we will have to expand there, but we, on the law enforcement side of the building, we don't have a single vacant office on the law enforcement side. Somebody asked me the other day, I shouldn't say a new ranger because he's been here, I think, for a year or two. But anyway, someone asked me the other day, it sure would not be nice to get the ranger up here and provide him a little office in here. He covers this area in part of Wise, but I said, I'd love to. We don't have it. I mean, not a single spot, so different ways, I was looking at that current EOC room, which is a pretty good sized room down there. Maybe we could turn that into individual offices in the future if we had to, but anyway, point being, when we look at expanding that jail, I think we need to expand some office space for growth on the law enforcement side as well.
Let me ask a couple of questions for those of you that were here when we built the other jail. From the time we determined we needed a new jail to the time we actually occupied that jail, what was the planning process and the length of time that was incurred there? Are we looking at a 5-year plan? Are we looking at a 10-year plan? Because if we continue to grow at the rate that it appears we're going to grow, which appears to be somewhere around 15 to 20%, and we assume that we're going to have the same number of increase in inmates, then 3 years from now, we're going to be to the point where we're going to have to offload inmates. And what would we do in that case? Should we fill up our jail? What do we do? Do we pay someone to take them in another county?
Absolutely. If you can find space in another county. I don't know what Grayson's doing. They are busting at the seams. I hope they are building a jail. If not, they are in bad shape. Wise County does have room. They've recently added pretty good jail space. But, some counties and some sheriffs are reluctant to tie down their bed space because they end up where we are. So, I don't know. We would have to house them somewhere, and who knows where it would be. It's a logistical nightmare because we are transporting those officers wherever they are, those inmates wherever they are, back here for court.
So
It's a real struggle. I know when this jail came online, they were housing as many inmates out of county as what they had in the jail. And I believe they were housing them in, I'm thinking Smith County.
Maybe more than one location.
Right.
could have been.
It could very well could be.
What was our percentage growth in this census? 10%? What did we went from 38 to 41.
41.7.
So that's about 10%.
I didn't see the census.
Yeah, it's 41.7, I think.
It's 41.6 or 7 or something.
Yeah. I
Do
think the
what?
Secretary of State is estimating a 15% growth over the next 10 years. But I think it's going to be quicker than that if Precinct 2 is any indication. We continue to have the housing balloon that's going on out there. But with that being said, we certainly, in your opinion, Sheriff, we're at that point where over the next 10 years, we're definitely going to run out of space.
I think 5.
Five.
Oh, yeah, you're
Probably
going to run out of
5.
space.
Judge, we're 25 away from being full.
It seems like if we planned ahead with budgeting, like 3 years would be doable. offices.
Well, you asked about the,
Unrealistic, and does that sound unrealistic?
I don't know, you asked about the timetable. They were finishing that up when I got elected, but that was a bond, wasn't it?
It was a bond.
That was a bond, and that took-
What's the pay that bond off, Michelle?
25,
In 25, so a couple, 3 years.
it's a $10 million bond,
I'm sorry?
$10 million bond.
Then, yeah, the judge at the time spent several months
Yeah.
doing town halls before anything else really began to take place. I don't know if we even had drawings. Shelley, you remember we had drawings when we started?
That was before I got here.
I think you had drawings when they started, he started his meetings, but, you know, that's a year's process to get a bond passed if you want to, time you do drawings and at least, don't you think?
Well, yeah, because you have to know how much of a bond you need.
Yeah.
So you have the pre-planning and
Yeah.
all of that, and then to know how much of a bond you need before you sell it to the public.
Yeah.
So is it a fair assumption if we started today, we wouldn't have that space for another 5 years?
Oh,
We might,
yeah, you know, it all depends on how,
3 to
yeah,
5.
3 to 5, you got lucky,
And then
3.
we learned that with the ARPA money, you can't do new construction.
No, you can add on to your jail.
right?
But they said you couldn't, you could, if you had a slab and 4 walls, but they said you couldn't pour a slab.
Yeah, I listened to that one, of course.
Yeah, we'll
Do
need
they really know what they're talking about when they're talking to us in class? You know, we listened to that down there, in
Those were
Austin.
NACO guys, though.
Those were NACO guys, but they said you could add on to an existing jail.
Yeah. We'll need to get clarification, but even at that, with the numbers that I have, it looks like it's about $370 a square foot. So to accommodate 96 more inmates, we're looking at about $4.5 million just for the structure, and then probably another 3 to 4 million for the accommodations internally.
And then you got architect fees and engineering fees and,
Yeah, just
But
rough.
then you got to expand all your monitoring, all your fire protection, in other words, they got to come in and update your console and stuff to accommodate the new section.
and then you got employees.
So we can't just pop up 2 more wings and call it good.
No. And bottom line is, there's, even if we can use the ARPA money, there's not enough to do it, I don't think.
Sheriff,
But it is something we need to start planning for.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, and that's why I mentioned the same architect that's still in existence, and they, I think, had plans that indicated how the building, you know, was built out in the future, but I'd say anyway.
what would, we're kicking around, what would your suggestion be to do 96 or what are 48 more than that is? What do you think and how, what do you think? We ought to go with, if we call 48 to a pod, 1 pod, 2 pod, 3 pods?
You know, you might go 4 pods and then open up 2. If there was market out there and it looked like we could sell our space, you know, rent out to those jails across Texas that are overcrowded, we might make some money.
I like that.
If we wanted to.
Last week, I heard something that we did not raise it, which is our money.
It never works, that sending prisoners out, I know they talked about that before, but that doesn't always work quite as smooth as what,
Well, Bowie County did that. Bowie County built that massive, humongous jail,
yeah.
and I think they closed it.
But if you remember, well, you've got initially, that one was not, it's 4 pods. And yeah, initially,
Yeah.
it was a 3 pod and expanded into the 4th. I don't remember to what point it was constructed, but it wasn't a full-blown construction, 4 pods was ready.
They built it, they just didn't put any fixtures in it,
Yeah.
didn't put the doors on it, all that, and then at the last minute, they decided it was cheaper than to do it.
And the way.
Well, and some folks may not remember, but the original drawing was $1 million EMS facility attached to the west side of that building with heat.
outside the south of the hall.
I think on the other side, but anyway, and there was a breezeway between, and there was a decision made by the court, rather than build one centralized location, we would build the satellite facilities, and we took that $1 million and we built the 3 satellite facilities.
Oak Ridge, Rice,
No,
Woodburn.
Woodbine.
Rice.
Mustard.
Yeah.
So that's how those go. But they built it, they didn't finish it out, what I recall, at first. So what the sheriff is saying might be feasible to go ahead and build the outer structure and maybe not finish it out. But I think I heard something in this last week's meeting that if you built it with ARPA money, you could lease it, maybe.
Yeah, we need some more clarification on that for sure.
In the meeting this week, I think, right?
What do you mean you couldn't lease it?
Couldn't make money off of
Can't
it.
make money
Oh,
off
I
it.
got you, I got
You
you.
can't,
You couldn't lease it out and take interest.
you can't make money
Yeah,
off of
yeah.
using ARPA money.
I got you.
Just what I think I heard. Some of y'all sure said the same meeting.
This is getting off in the weeds, but it costs us $50 a day roughly to house an inmate. What could we charge to,
Well,
I mean-
we would want to do it. That $50 a day, right? That $51 a day, that is the total jail budget divided by 212, the max, right?
Right.
So that's where that number comes from. So we would really want to drill down and get
oh, for sure, I was,
Inmate cost per day? No,
that's according to Larry. That's the way
No.
Larry has figured it, so.
no, that's not, the one I give you? No, it's more detailed than
It
that.
takes in utilities and everything, it takes.
Depreciation of the building, and then it's the average
I'm just saying,
inmate.
if you divide the amount that goes to the jail, divided by 212, you get,
Not the same.
you've got about the same number.
Okay.
So,
I mean, like I said, that's getting off in the weeds. I was just curious. I mean, seems like if we were full up,
But-
we'd get,
so also in that number, right, is medical care. We have to pay for those inmates. So when we house out-of-county inmates, let's say for contract, when we hire, we don't pay them medical, okay? So we're not paying that. They have to come do all the transport back and forth. We don't transport them. So that cost comes off. So it's a little bit, it would be cheaper for us to house those out of county than what it costs us to house our own. Anyway, if you built 48 times 4, of course, you're basically doubling your jail, our current jail. And as to whether we just wanted to open up 2 pods or whether we wanted to hire out and contract out, y'all could make that decision if the time came.
Okay.
So what about, like your cafeteria, is that gonna have to be expanded too, because you got more, or do you just stagger that?
Well, I was down in Wise County looking at theirs, and they've got a big open kitchen, but they don't have any equipment put in. And so I would envision if, we're getting ready to let out an RFP for some companies, we would like to get out of the food prep business.
Right.
But in reality,
but to
they're
answer
just
your
prepping
question-
them there. They don't eat in there, see? They
Right.
feed them through the,
Right.
But to answer your question, if we were able to get, out of the food prep and had it brought in, we would still probably want that space in case someday we had to start prepping.
Right.
We wouldn't have to go in there and buy the stoves and the ovens and fryers.
But you want to make sure you got the room for it if you need it.
Seems fair. Anything else for the sheriff?
so you think 4 pods, if we was gonna go, and keep in mind, when we go do that, it's gonna have to go float bond, so to speak, and you're comfortable, we're not asking for too much at that point, because you think it's gonna be, our business is gonna pick up. And of course, you talked a little bit about segregating males and females. there's a lot more goes into that you didn't hit on, you're well aware of, but the public may not realize that you sometimes have to separate violent males from nonviolent, and so the numbers really deceiving.
Absolutely. So you have classification that occurs up there before they ever go back into general population, and you're exactly right. Based upon what crime you've committed, we can't put a first-time, misdemeanor in with a murder, a capital felony. So anyway, you're exactly right. There's a whole lot more goes into it than just sticking them back there, and so. But anyway, I think 2 pods probably get you 10 years. 4 pods probably get you way out there. Probably past our lifetime. But I'm looking at Gary because
It's not just, but it's not just the pods, it's the ancillary offices and the parking lots and everything else that goes with it.
Well, but the big thing that goes with it is the most expense out there, that's salaries.
Well, yeah, staff.
And people don't understand it, jail standards dictates that to us.
Yeah.
I mean, he just gets to manage it, but they tell him how many he's going to manage.
Yeah, the perpetual
So you
cost
can
goes on
figure
with it.
a pod, a 48-person pod, it takes, we're working 12-hour shifts. So right off the bat, it takes 2 people to get that. Well, they can't work 7 days a week, 365. They have to have their replacement, so that's 4. And that's in a perfect world, right? So we could probably get it with 4.
Per pod, though,
Per pod.
per pod.
Per pod.
And
But you really, if you're going to figure time off, vacation, sick time, you really need to figure 5.
And that's the way the state figures it, and that's the way the state dictates, from what I recall.
Yeah.
They always add that one cushion. So you're looking at 5 per pod, you're looking at 20 people,
Yeah.
at roughly, what, 55, 60,000 a year now with benefits for a jailer. So,
Well, it really, you think about going to the public on this, having to go for one bond while we still have the other bond flapping in the wind out there from the previous construction.
So,
yeah, but here's the deal there. If you can get X amount of dollars, say half of it from ARPA,
I was going to say,
then you're just going for
Yeah, and
$3
we-
million, and this one's nearly paid off. And with the interest rates, we might combine, can you combine bonds, Shelley?
Huh?
Can you combine the bond? Say we owe 10 million, okay.
I don't think so.
I know we refinanced it once at a lesser rate, but you can't combine bonds.
But if we could use the ARPA money at least to do the planning stages, get an architect and the engineering and all this.
Well,
So maybe
anything
half
it
the
would pay for.
construction, yeah.
Yeah, you ain't gonna pay for most of it.
But appreciate it. Thank you very much for being proactive and thinking about it.
Sure.
If we don't, it's bam, it's there, and we're housing, and it's costing us big bucks every day. And so I need to reach out to my Grayson counterpart. I used to see him once a month at the TCC board. He's kind of delegated it to one of his captains or something. But anyway, I know they are busting at the seams. They were so full, they were actually hauling inmates for the counties to haul them, their inmates to get them out of their jail. So.
Yeah, and we've been there. That's when it gets expensive, because we did house people out of county, and we paid whatever the going rate was at the time. Plus, you pull officers or jailers or transport people out of service. We want to avoid that, I think, if at all possible.
It has to have a compounding cost effect.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Sheriff.
And also, any of you, you're welcome to come out anytime. I'll walk you back. Commissioner Snuggs came, I wasn't there, but come on out. We'll take you back and give you a full-blown tour, every square inch, and you can get an idea how it's operating, and you'll see what I see, that we're getting full. So.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Sheriff.
I recommend we put together a little team to start brainstorming this issue.
Yeah, it's definitely beating on the door.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Shelley, who's the definitive final answer on ARPA funds?
U.S. Treasury.
And you can't just call him.
And you can't just call them. Will somebody give you a straight answer?
Well, you'll have to email a question.
Hey, Sheriff, at 11 o'clock, I'll be out that way when they call. I said 11 o'clock, I'll be out your way. I should be here about 11. I'll text you when I get to work.
Can't leave early.
What question do you want me to ask?
In regards to the jail, what can we do? Can we build an add-on building to it? Now, we've been told that at Austin at those conventions.
See, I understood what you understood. If we got an existing and we're
And
expanding,
you're expanding, you can use money to expand your jail.
but I see where you come from, where you say, hey, they're saying you got to have the slab, you can finish it, but you can't begin it.
Well, now I
That's what
think
you
that-
said in the second meeting.
Well, the slab talk, the way I understood that, let's say you wanted to go build a new EMS station. If you had an existing building or a slab already poured for a building for future construction, that's the way I understood it, you could build on that. But I thought they had said when it comes to the jail, you could add on, or you could add on to an existing building.
Because
If you have an existing-
For spacing, if for nothing else at the jail.
Yeah, like the gentleman said, if you had a small office building and you wanted to add an EMS building onto that, you could add on to that. That's the way I understood the discussion.
Yeah, that's the reason I brought this up and brought the sheriff in, is that I left there from Round Rock with the impression that we could do an expansion to our jail with
Yeah.
ARPA money. However, if we can't do the physical expansion, Shelley, can you look into, can we use the money for doing the design, the architecture work, and maybe some of that upfront stuff?
And on the architect, on something like that, do we have to go put it out for bid, or can we go back to, because that's
No,
professional
you
services?
can, architects are exempt.
We can go to Burns and say, hey,
Really?
contract services.
You learn something new every day.
Go to who?
To the people that did it
The
before.
He said
architect we
Burns.
use.
Burns, okay, that was the name.
Burns, Fletcher?
And Fletcher was the little guy that was here most of the time, and I think he's retired. I think he might be doing some consulting, but I don't think he's actually.
Anything else on the jail? I'll try to put together, does anyone want to volunteer for a little team to do some more brainstorming with the jail and with the sheriff?
Sure. I'd help with that.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
You might split that up into 3 different things. One is somebody to go see what's going to take to run the bond, kind of deal, and then
Well, you need to figure out what we need to try to decide what we can do with the ARP money.
Yeah.
And then we need to get with the architecture engineer, whichever one you want to, and then try to get a rough idea of what it'll take, and then go after the bond business.
but we got to educate ourselves on, and Shelley may know it, but the process, how much money we're
Yeah.
talking about.
But you can't-
timeline to get it.
Yeah, you can't even start thinking about what it's going to cost until somebody does a study and tells you.
Yeah. Yeah, the numbers that we gave this morning are just rough estimates based on recent construction.
You know,
And their construction costs are.
is that empty spot big enough to put 3 more pods on? I have no idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I don't know, because you're going to have other offices with that and more parking and different things.
You basically can double the size of what we got real easy on that much acreage.
Anything else?
Maybe.
We won't have a JP's office. Now, what we might look at, if he needs office space inside the jail,
Yeah.
something they could, you can move the JP off on a perimeter on the new building and let him absorb some of that. I mean,
That would probably make,
Yeah, that's what you need.
That might make sense.
keep them all together instead of having law enforcement over here and
at the other end
then
of the
100
jail.
yards away at the other end of the new jail.
Yeah, you'd have to see what they tell you.
Okay, anything else on jail? Another area, while we're on ARPA, we'll go ahead and go through this real quickly, I guess. Another one that we had discussed previously was the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds already has a drawing and a rendering of an exhibit hall that they would like to complete in the future. They don't currently have a bid. I think David Fogel's working on that, and hopefully we'll have it by the next meeting. I think an exhibit hall would be very beneficial to the community, as well as a tourist incentive that give them a little bit more ability to hold trade shows, conventions, those kind of things. Any thoughts on the exhibit hall for the fairgrounds? The other thing with that is that they would also like to take in 4-H and Ag Life Extension offices out there, and it would also have a kitchen.
Yeah, how much money are they talking about?
Like I said, I haven't heard a dollar figure yet. I know that David Fogels was working on it, and he's hoping to have it in our next meeting 2 weeks from now.
I'd love to, I think it'd be a great asset for many, 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 many events, but it's all about the dollar, we know that.
Yep.
Well, we kind of told them to go dream big and we'd see what we could do. So-
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't have a problem with
It
that.
wasn't, but it wasn't a guarantee, and
Oh, I know.
Well, and when we start talking about a jail, it might consume about 90% of it.
Oh, I got a feeling it will.
Yeah.
Now you know why I wanted to use our own money for the rain. So we could use the ARPA money to build things that last forever.
Yeah. Okay, I don't really have anything else on ARPA at this time. Anybody else have any ideals or any thoughts or?
What, Shelley, typically, how long does it take to get an answer back from them when you ask them a question? Oh, I'm just,
I haven't asked them a question, so I don't know. I mean.
And how do we know we're
NACO
asking
guys said-
authority?
NACO guys said to send them the question and they would ask. But
you trust that?
I'd rather have something directed
I was just gonna
us.
say, I
to put in a file
I
somewhere.
don't, yeah.
no, I'd rather ask them directly.
See, he talked with a lot of authority, and I asked him, who do you work for? And he said, NACO, and I thought, well, okay. I don't know how strong an answer that really is, whether that's written in
Definitely a lot
stone.
of,
And see, the U.S. Treasury's already, because we had a report due at the end of August, and then we had another report due at the end of October. They've already bumped that to the end of December. So I don't know if they're already, running into pushback or,
They're waffling.
I wonder if the Make America Better plan or something, if that doesn't pass, does our funding go away?
Well, it's a different version of the FEMA stuff, what we were told at the beginning, and then they get an accounting firm involved, and all of a sudden, 2 years later, they don't.
Do you think that we might be able to get an answer quicker if we went through Ronnie Jackson's office, our congressman?
you can try. I have no idea.
I don't either. No.
Just like their final rules were due in the end of July.
They're still not final. Okay, anything else on ARPA money before we move into strategic planning? Okay, we'll go back to item number 2, workshop for strategic planning to identify and prioritize objectives and develop implementation plan and timeline for crest building, records retention, annex, Main Street parking lot, parking garage, adult probation, juvenile probation, old jail, and DPS building. I brought the map where we're at thus far. I think everybody's in agreement of where we would put the DPS office and the driver's license office, and that's as far as we got with the last meeting. The next segment of the first floor will probably show that you have a chance to look at where you might be able to accommodate your people over there.
I'm not interested in moving to the first floor if I have to be in with driver's license.
Okay.
What if we partition it off so that they don't traverse
They don't get to you.
through your area?
And I also don't want to be in a big box with no lights in a dungeon cell, darkness.
security.
Do we have any other recommendations to the bottom floor?
Well, we kicked around one of the probations the other day.
No, that was up.
But put them up.
We did? I don't remember that. Yeah, but,
We talked
Well, because one had the bathroom or something upstairs.
Right.
but, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think we did make one other decision. It was on my notepad, and maybe we'll wait till Gary gets back. But I think we were all in agreement that adult probation would go down to the old jail.
Jail.
Remember we talked about they were
remember
gonna be
talking, yeah.
maxed out at the old jail, that we thought about putting them up there?
I thought they were gonna still have some room. Well,
Well, once we move Tim, Gary, and Phyllis and Angel out, all those people, that building will be totally empty.
they have that other side too.
Yeah, they have those.
You know, so you want children to go to church and be around church and stuff, you know, and good influences. I know we talked about putting 4-H up there. The opposite is true too. You don't need adult probation next to kids.
No, I agree with that.
That, you know, if we're gonna move 4-H upstairs, that's gonna kind of put a damper.
We talked about so many things.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to pencil that in.
But I think adult probation would work. Remember, there's more room back over there that it wasn't figured in at the beginning,
Right.
on the, around the corner, so to speak,
Where Ray's office actually
Yeah.
is in back there.
and Cortez.
Yeah.
And the plan is for them to take the old commissioner's office and probation, adult probation would go to the jail. And if we had to, for an interim, we had discussed about moving 4-H and ag extension over into the old EMS building. But hopefully, we can move all of that into Crestville.
Yeah, I hate to do a bunch of moving.
More than one move at a time. Yeah. So is everybody in agreement at this point, we're going to try to move adult probation to the old jail once we move everyone out of that building?
Yeah,
I think that's
I could live with that.
That's what I had noted.
Because it gave them plenty of room to add on more
Yeah.
officers, and especially if they got the front
If they got the front
corridor area,
on the other side of it.
that should last them many, many years.
Yeah.
I think so. And even if they had to expand some, they could take the old EMS building.
Yeah, so Shelley definitely doesn't want to go over there at all. Then no floor, no place, no way, no how? You're gonna just cram 2 more people in what you,
I'll give them up, I don't want to be in a big square concrete box with no sunlight, nothing, no. And especially with driver's license.
even if we partition all those people away, we can put a wall
I
in.
mean, that's the plan anyways, that's gonna be partitioned.
It would be partitioned off where none of those people could come into the office area. In fact, anybody wants to look at it.
Well, eventually, we're gonna get to the point where if we ask,
Treasurer's got to go over there too, and if there's an entrance on street level for someone to come in and potentially rob the treasurer's office.
That can be
they
done
can
here
do that
too.
here too.
Well, I understand that. But I mean, where, are we gonna have courthouse security? I mean, partition off the public, I mean, I just don't understand the plan, I don't.
Well, we're working on the plan. It'll have security, and then, because our bails should be roaming around over, our security roaming around over there too, and then we'll also have the troopers in and out. It'll be, to me, more secure than what we
Oh,
have.
you'll have more police presence over there than you do now.
I don't know, troopers are in the office as much as y'all think they are. I mean, we have one in town now, the rest of them are in court.
Well, that won't last forever. Nothing lasts forever.
No.
Well,
This is true.
we'll get to the point, I guess we'll draw straws and see who goes where. Sooner or later.
Could I get you guys to come and look at this and give me some input?
Nope. Keep Gary.
Okay, here's what we talked about previously, I think all of the agreement is that the area covered in yellow here will be DPS. These would all be DPS offices here. Now, we're gonna keep that office, but the plan was DPS would take all of these offices, driver's license would have that area. We would close these doors here, so they wouldn't have access to whoever the courthouse was here. This, we would put a petition here, we move this door over here to this office. Now, this office would belong to DPS. The entry and driver's license would be here. DPS would also have an entry.
How would these,
They would come, whereas, public, yeah, public second, public, would only be in office.
And,
That's a good one. I mean, we must.
well, I mean, you don't know fire code, are you able to put a wall up and the bath, there's only one bathroom, and you're gonna wall that off too, and
I mean, one thing we could do, because the plumbing's already there, there's 2 restrooms, there could be 2 additional restrooms added there without a lot of cost, because there's already drainage and water piping.
what's the reason for keeping this office?
No reason other than the fact they're already getting 1, 2, 3.
Well, I can understand that, I just think, I feel like if this was a large area, they might need an office to go with it, or where it should be there, at least.
And they might be like a little break room or something. In fact, you know, if they have this break room, this just be the only entrance in.
I mean, I still think it'd be nice, I think, even though they have to walk around, it'd be nice for anybody in this area to be able to come out and have that door here. Like we're talking about.
What I was hoping we could do here is for reviews. I don't think we're going to be able to work that all.
Right.
We can just get a general layout where we think people can go, and then we turn this over to an engineer. You know, they can start refining it, and they can answer some of the questions that Shelley has, is, you know, fire code, is this going to be okay, or how do we block that off? You know, it'd be, in my mind, we would just say, hey, we would like to have our DPS officers here, our driver's license office here, and we'd like to keep that petition for a portion of the building for the county employees. Mr. Engineer, how do we do that and remain compliant? And there is, and I don't know what it is, but we had to do it when we were out at Weber, that there's an OSHA regulation, this is, you have X number of restrooms for X number of people in the building, so, you know, we very well may have to put in another restroom. But, you know, those are all questions engineers can ask, answer once we figure out just the broad outline of what we would like to see in what areas. That's the first one, that's the second one.
Cheers, cheers.
well, I guess my response would be, I would like to have those answers first before I say, yes, I would.
Okay, that's all fine, but nobody wants to move, I don't want to move. I've been told I'm moving. So far, I've heard a lot of suggestions about people moving, and everybody tells me they won't, but I have to. And I'm supposedly partially in charge of facilities. Now, if we're gonna do anything, how will we ever build a building? First, we have to come up with a plan, what we think we might want to do. Then we're gonna have to get us an architecture and figure out what we can do with the building to see if it'll even work. But we've got to start somewhere, Shelley. No one's picking on you.
I know, I
I
don't
know,
think
but we have to start somewhere with an idea, and that's what we're trying to do.
in reality, or in, I don't know what word I'm looking for, conceptual,
What?
you don't commingle driver's license, DPS, and county business. I mean, they're state. They're renting space from us.
I understand. They used to be in here. Hell, they used to be in here.
They were in our office. So,
Why are we moving them out of the bank building?
it's all about being to,
They don't really have
what happens in the
enough.
bank building.
Yeah,
We're about, you know,
So why move me into the bank building?
we would like to be sure that
so that bank building altogether. So,
that space, that part of the building.
and that's all I think, and you know, this is better than I do, but the whole part of the master plan is to get out of these old buildings, the bank, where juvenile probation is, where the library is.
Crest is older than the bank building.
Crest has been remodeled, that's a much better building now, man.
I'm not trying to pick an argument. Our rationale is to get rid of that building, so,
And the old renovation building.
and the old,
That's the old building.
no.
Well, what it's gonna come down to, we're gonna have to make a plan, we're gonna have to tell people what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But we need, I personally think we need maybe about $5 million amongst us.
What we want to do.
Before we ever start spending before we start spending $200-300 an hour for somebody that,
Yeah, and Shelley is not personal,
Oh, I know.
but we.
I'm not taking it
Even
personal.
if people doesn't want what we think of it, we may not make it happen.
I'm not taking it personal, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I drew up something.
I'm sorry.
I drew up something, yes.
No, you did.
It's over.
You do something out for this building, or, well, don't be, why? He won't show it to us?
Oh, my goodness.
You're jerking my chain now. You had to draw it.
Yeah, I did.
Please. I said, please.
I just like the,
Hey,
the red spaces.
Your hair.
I'm,
This thing at the end of what it is, we got. We just can't put
I gotta call my foreman.
yeah, exactly. I think the treasurer's office and her offices would be accommodated here. Something that you could lock.
Cheer up, it'll get me.
What, teaching?
Okay. So I like, you don't need to take those walls, I do.
Get you out to Yeah.
Treasurer over here.
You're right, right, and it's on my list. We need, I mean, so I was like, how do you
Okay,
going on there? I don't know, I mean, y'all, whatever y'all need to do.
Well,
You told me to take this and that was going here.
I don't know where all of that.
That was the last meeting, so I need to redo it, let me know.
These are the same as these.
That's the only thing I've ever seen or heard. But we had to walk in meetings.
No, that's from the last meeting, if driver's license was going here, GPS was going here, I was going here.
No, you got it backwards. Isn't that the front door? It was always gonna be here.
Well, the meeting she stopped after you walked in, you just talked to the driver's license to her. That's all that was.
if we tore down these walls, would that,
Because the bathroom is right there, right? Yeah, the driver's license was going here, because there was an entrance off the side back here,
It's over there.
and this was the front door, but I thought the last workshop we had, this was the new driver's license.
you're right, you didn't agree.
Okay.
That's the one that we said, I have no problem with it.
Well, I was scared, so.
But I think it's very concerned about accessibility.
Because you said you would give me this office, because it has a little refrigerator or something, and then my office would be, and my staff's office would be here. And you said, you would give me this and this.
But we,
But you said you
That was in here.
no, it was not. No, it was not. No.
And you said you walked in.
That happened when the
Well, I said I didn't want to be away from my
Shelley,
staff.
that happened when the three of you were in the judge's office. We never talked about that. Now I know for a fact.
When we were just brainstorming over there, that was a potential. When we talked, we were going to fix these doors, we talked about.
So, what we have, I think, is say, which is money to everybody, we can do driver license, and into that.
That clerk we put in here, you know, here, Shelley, maybe, these can still be stored.
We talked about those being stored, but I mean, that, Yeah.
And you don't think any of this is
No, I'm saying,
We were having a conversation.
we had just talked about leaving that storage because it's big and wide out of the storage, but it can only change the out. Which makes no sense.
But see, at one point in time, I didn't make a suggestion that we put 4H in here. Nothing out, as you can't, you just put the 4H receptions up here to service it. There's a,
Now, there is a window in that office.
yeah, that little, correct, so right.
I don't think I walked in that office.
There's an office.
You can see over here, so if you want to, it's out, that's a nice big commercial.
Yeah, there's a real office and it doesn't.
I mean, all this, I got a problem anyway, going off brainstorming, and what y'all are doing.
There's a lot of moving pieces in a lot of areas.
And Shelley, right, I'm almost certain we're gonna put the two restaurants, of course, the cheapest place to put them would be right there. I'm the restroom, because all the ones are already there.
But a couple of them, you produce them in size, what they got done. They're a couple more.
And this is not me trying to sell you on the show, it's in my heart, because I understand what you're saying about being stuck in a dungeon, but it actually, you walk in there, it doesn't feel like that.
But you got this glass and stuff.
Well,
It's not like
it's open, and it seems to breathe real well, even without the HVAC.
Let's say we talked about, you can remove some of these walls due to the corral, like you've got, you basically take the footprint there, maybe and put it in here. But I don't think we need any special stuff, I think we need to have some little bit of draft to,
You got all the other stuff.
I think so. This year. Yeah.
I think.
You can early entertain the thought, but they get this area here, shows along these walls, it's over here.
Well, where would patio? Excuse me, where would patio?
these two, or these two.
Because every office has to come to me and Patty.
You know, we,
Once or twice a day.
I don't see any reason why they couldn't go ahead and make this work.
Yes. Well, you know, we he's out, have all the electric issues right here, and it needs to be corralled up or it's
You need storage anyway, don't you?
No, yeah, I'm a box man, and
Well, they like it stacked up.
You put on the corner and the walls, that way, or it's big walls.
yeah, because then that would leave us this whole
Well, we don't like it stacked high.
section for something
We're
else.
gonna have it.
But there's maybe another office, I mean, you know, that's even a nice stack of, something for there too, you know. I'm just, I get clouded up, I think all the things stacking up need to move into this.
Well, I wouldn't leave it out.
Well, no, I close them all. You take out some of those shelving in there that stick out, you know, that far, you make it, well, some lot small there.
Hey, we have, a couple that just came in, they just moved here from Wayne County.
I was wondering where the extra person came from.
The plus of this show is that parking outside.
Well, first we, yeah, if she tries not to eat there, we're gonna have one in.
So if we took we took all of that for you and Patty, we realized that it would have to be walls, we tore down, or reconstructed, but that should be enough square footage, shouldn't it?
Yeah, because like I said, they need all kinds of storage, emergency and everything, just where, you got this one, you never looked in this phone. Well, you got it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Are you too
They had all that, it's all big cisterns, it's turned it out, that'd be fine too. Around the-
Those blocks are out, that's Kevin Jones.
Yeah,
I would say that's a little sexist, but I'll go to the comments first.
I never thought of that, any such thing, highway, anyhow, I didn't see it. I didn't see anything, but that is a beautiful pink color.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful blue color.
I am impressed by the
Boys,
color.
girls, but you
How
know,
about that with the,
we'll go there.
I like this word for this.
Okay.
We'll go there if you want.
If you want to make them all pink, that's fine.
everyone's.
This is Star Wars, you got, this is Judd, you got some candy.
Anybody got a Snickers?
Jesus Christ. And you're gonna find that?
Oh, no.
This is the line. Judge, you go.
This is
No. What we're talking about is this area here, the auditor and treasurer. That way we can make parking this way. We'll reserve all the parking.
Like I said, this is all.
I don't think
This is an office.
We could use that store.
But Patty and I are not officing together.
Okay. No, what I'm thinking, Joe, is we give you guys this area, and you don't just, I don't want to configure, if it's tear down the wall, build more offices.
Patty and Patty needs to be separate.
Okay, that's not a
She's
problem.
an elected official. And then we're not officing together.
Go down there and sit.
Never intended that.
No.
We have to exclude this for all, so,
It's the best.
Anybody's looking for, so the rest of this we can give you.
You let me know about that, because I was gonna work on it next week.
You don't like what you plan on for it.
Okay, well, 4 weeks.
Really want me to retire.
So up here when this conference deal is?
Yeah, they want to have access to that.
But for next thing, you really want me to retire. I know.
There was talk, and I'm joking around a bit here, there was talk that we would make this a big conference area for the county to hold. But the plus to this is, I don't think it'd be a big deal, just because there's 220 up there already, is that we could go ahead and put in a stove pump, a couple of ovens, and that way 4-H would really be happy.
And I'm gonna tell you, building almost like you do.
And then,
In a 1917 building, I'm gonna tell you.
that's just something we'll have to ask, and could be not, we'll see. But that was their vision, is that they would be up here somewhere, that had an area for storage, like that is stored, and then their only real wish.
That all that stuff right here, they're washing the dryer.
That was the thinking, was that the kitchen, the cook top, and the couple of ovens would be there for the.
Well, I told them,
Did we figure out what we could get to this? Where was it here? It was here, it was here. It was there.
So we take this out. Rest of
And leave the rest, leave the rest.
we're going to big, like, big house, buildings, super, super convenient, when they do have a walk to get to things, so that's an issue.
Once again, all the details are on, work out the bill, all the specifications and regulations. Is that the main thing, just come up with a floor plan and let somebody has it, do vetting of it.
What do we need? We need an engineer or, I don't know.
Building engineer.
We need our first look. If we have to do anything, building wise, we need.
Probably we should have hired a space planning.
Prior job.
Yeah, I have it all too. So,
Yeah, no, she didn't go over there yet. I had to.
if this is,
Well, this is here, and I'm digging.
well, for sure, I was thinking,
A little slow.
if this all ends up being like auditor complex and treasurer. Okay, you're thinking have these two, maybe treasurer? I know it's not an office,
That's the.
well, I know, but somebody there kind of,
Yeah, somebody's gonna be there.
I don't know, how to shower guy.
That's fine, more like,
I still think we gotta have an idea of what we want to do.
you would have to do that.
I mean, even if it does get chewed up and regurgitated,
We still gotta start with something. What do you want to do? If we don't put it down on paper,
No, I understand.
we'll never get anything done. So this is the first step, it'll all be fine.
And there's nothing to say that we can't make this a door like this where she has to have their keys, they can go through there. No, they're gonna get to you.
that's what I think what it means.
I mean, why do we need a reserve?
Well, we don't need a reception. I was just thinking if somebody, if doubled up, if they were out there.
Well, she only works half a day when she works, so then.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need anybody there, we can have a key off, or just a,
So
so board
we
is
can
it,
either make this an office or take this counter out.
So,
One more question, and I'm not going to change gears on all.
it could go to driver's license.
So,
But then it's, but then you're putting people, the public to hear, so I think that's enough. It's first glance.
Let's put a seal here with a badge where you
But then like
Shelley got back to house,
I don't know, I just didn't think. So, across the street upstairs, what is Darrell gonna end up? And I'm not knocking the project, I'm being realistic, what's Darrell gonna end up with there? Because I'm still concerned about that.
No, that's a valid concern. Now, we know that we can't go back to document storage.
Are we gonna go back to documents?
I don't know, but that's,
We're gonna put that on Monday's meeting?
yes, it's a good thing.
I mean,
The valid question.
I mean, if he doesn't have enough room for storage and we're running across to some other building, that's great. Maybe he ought to go over there now and use that for something else. I say now.
Where were we talking about putting him, giving him all that?
At one time. It's a valid concern. We really ought to think about that. We could use that space for something else.
I agree with that. I prefer to get a document storage.
But you know, we didn't budget any.
I understand that. You know that I'm going to put money in the budget for that. We got a $500,000. That was, I think, designed to keep us from, yeah.
For grass or something.
We did, yeah.
Chris, we did.
Yeah, we're supposed to spend $500,000 for grass. There had to be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, something, we knew we were moving offices. So where are we thinking for juvenile probation? But where?
I don't know. And I talked to her about the bathroom deal. What they have now is just 2 bathrooms, girls and boys. They use them also. But they have to have that door where if it's a girl that's in there doing the urine, a girl watches them. They have a camera that watches them, and they just keep the door open where they can see that they're not pouring water.
I think the issue is though, I don't know if anybody else is able to use that.
She said that wasn't a problem.
It wasn't.
Just as long as they have that access from that bathroom.
They can't seal it off.
Right. And they just didn't want, the deal is that they don't want public to be, when they're standing there, there. So,
And once again, the plumbing's there, so we wanted to make it a bathroom to upstairs. We've got a lot of bathrooms upstairs, we've got 3.
And then, in the
And
past,
then have that
Yes.
mid-level bathroom too.
in the past, the concern also was juvenile probation. People from next to each other. Either one of them.
church here, we go to school here.
Yeah, they kind of run around and bump into each other, but you're not.
Yeah, well, they would be weird.
Is that the?
That kind of thought.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, you know, that's a double-edged sword. You know, those 4-H kids could have a positive, and some of those kids come 4-H.
How about we should do this all wide open then?
I would have their door there.
That needs to be shut down, needs to be shut down if it's possible.
I mean, they need to have a deal like BPS.
How many offices does juvenile probation have in but they have that one.
That's what's the thing, it all gives us that common restroom, and we needed to, and actually have access there.
To me, that would be good, and that way they can grow with the times too.
If they use another thing.
But if they, I know where we keep going or whatever.
And, you know, if we had to, we could move 4-H and ag extension, or molding in this building. So the fairgrounds are going to do exhibit hall, it's just a matter of what we've done really quickly, if the department has done, it, or what we've done over a period of time. I don't know if we could put it in on that. I have looked at it.
And the wiring is full code, remember? Shelley.
And they're using the kitchen.
But it's actually a working on. Wasn't the wiring pretty well substandard in that old EMS building?
Kevin says it is. I don't know, we haven't had any problems with it. It's old.
What was it, an old hairdresser? Wasn't it an old salon or something?
I'm not really sure about the garage.
basement, rest of the
Something.
yeah, redoing it, putting in dehumidifiers and whatnot for, so if we did that, then we could open up that entire area for marijuana. They have, they hold them.
Well, we need cages.
Well, separate each one's not, one.
I don't know, since you really got that climate control, I don't know, it's just something we ought to decide. I know Craig and him will look at spots on it, we need to figure out where we're going. Be nice if his office was actually where he's working. I'm looking for efficiency. We don't need less efficiency.
Putting the work on this one. Now, he's got an office, it's gonna be what, in the, you gotta be able to sit and work on a computer.
He needs a work, yeah. No, I got you.
Right, Mark.
That's green. Now, that's nice. All right. I have. All right.
If you can't have fun, why be alive?
I know that's fun.
That's what I always. Which, you know, that's probably all too big for them, but I think that's fine, bro.
I wish it would.
Oh, well, I hope they don't either. I agree with that.
Yeah, I hope for the they shouldn't have to grow their remember that. They were giving everybody too much space and really don't know how to raise them.
And I'm not joking when I say I'm not agreeing now.
You got new ones?
Yes.
And so did you get that message? I sent it to you. About population. Got that?
I'm checking, you know,
Census?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 41,700.
Or are you talking about that now? That one, yeah.
And there's another one coming, and that's just the rough estimate. We should have one with how that's going to
Scary to move much. It's like, it's what?
Everybody, what's coming in the commission?
Which one?
I read it, I read it, and then,
yours is on the street.
So, we got 300 houses that aren't even on. Right. Yeah, they're all in the planning stage. We haven't approved plans or
one of them, it might be more than that, I don't know exactly how many you can probably want, so they fall lines. Might be 2 years on those.
But I thought that was, I think the city limits, or they were gonna annex on.
That's to Cooke County.
I know.
Well, yeah, so, but I don't know.
We're not providing them services, that's all part of that.
Yeah, I guess so, when they get state arrested, they're not coming to our jail, but if they're back in county arrested, they're coming to Cooke
Well,
County.
yeah.
Depends on their address, I guess. I don't know, it's, but the one, down south about you, there are 200 houses.
Is that within the Pond Point School District?
That one over there,
Yeah.
so that was in Powell,
Yeah.
city limits, but Cooke,
Yeah.
but half of it's Cooke County.
Yeah.
And then southwest of Valley View, there's a 200, and they've got like 240s and 20s and some 18, I mean, there's a bunch.
I figured collectively your precinct was 500 for the next week.
Take a lot of them home, but that's what's good.
In fact, there's a couple of complexes that go around here in precinct that I don't know where it was going. They're just west of the fire station, where they put in.
City council, that's all we know, talk about it very much. We have heard about it, city council.
And then there was some apartment complexes, quadruplexes north of the school that were in construction. Looks like there's 3 of them. Yeah.
And then you go to Lindsay and they got 47 houses on 82, and then there's brothers, one of the 9 acres is supposed to be big. That's supposed to be.
In the city of Gainesville, that's 500 on there.
Yeah, they, out Chalmers Estate, that'd be precinct 2 as well. I don't even count that, I'm not counting.
Of course, how many years will it take to get that all done? Some of that, they said they could, how long is it? So need to read that, put the bills. They just have to guess, all we agree with that,
That'd be a good spot. Obviously, the ranger, he's an office too, the ranger too.
But they would have to have some concern with the parking.
Well, so they're gonna park where they park on that. The parking, hopefully we solve parking in another stage. I know it's a little bit of walk, but that's just the way it is everywhere. No, it's not, but that's the way it is everywhere. The only time it stinks is if it's raining. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna call this a little bit more progress. It's not set. We're setting concrete over here. Have good room, not concrete here.
Oh, that's, yes.
Oh, okay.
I've heard any discussion about that.
And I like that up there. You did, so. I don't know why we can't just say that this is IT, all the offices. Is that what you're saying?
That's what
But he's still gonna need some.
But I also don't work for y'all, so. But I also don't work for y'all.
13 years,
But I also don't work for y'all.
I know we're going to do that big conference deal with, how many companies that there's some meetings to do today? Would that be out of the way with your?
But I also would like a conference room for my asset owners.
Yeah, this was pretty well.
My asset owners.
Not really, yeah, this year, y'all just here.
Close.
I know we would have to be part of your, thank you guys, like, see down the halls and.
Yeah, we need to.
Well, would you mind if I walk that? If we have some opportunities to bring the shoulders, 45 pounds.
If all of this being orchestrated here, hinges on us involved in the conference. Fire department, fire mill, all that stuff. They may be working on something. Wow, that's what we got. We have to know the wish list of what we think.
So we're leading to all that.
We got those number policy,
I wouldn't count on anything. If we had to give you another office, we probably would do better. I would be reluctant to start occupying that. The ideal, I think it's a good one, is that all of this county conference area or public opinion, whatever.
I need something like that.
We do concepts over.
I hate to take up that.
Here's something that
We can only back in 4 years ago, we was on the Christmas Civic out there. Yeah. Okay, I looked at that one, you give it a shot. $400 for their base.
They're not gonna charge us.
Well, they said it might be.
Even if they did, we needed to pay them 3 times a year to get sued.
It's still cheaper than what we're trying to say here.
Those for office space, and this we're area.
I'm sure I would get my
Place more portion of space for.
I think, I know it's a long way away, but it's always happened.
Yeah, if the jail's gonna get busy, you gotta start, that's what I said, I don't remember. If you really think the county's gonna grow that much, all those offices are gonna shut down.
Server wiring and stuff.
See, that's-
I think that server room. I even want to move the courthouse basement server room to there, which are good, get it off the basement. Yeah, give us
Too much moisture down there.
I think it'd be fantastic if we could do all the courthouse server stuff into that area. Oh,
That'll be IT, or that'll be else.
Plus the 800 diesel discharger, yes, Steve, that was on.
That's over here.
Oh, that's over here.
It's always,
Yeah.
We'll have to move around.
that's right. It's already illegal, thank you.
Earlier, so we originally talked here, we talked about storage. I think we could do some of these storage rooms.
They're on the ground floor.
Yep, ground floor storage room. And then if all of this was full of auditor, treasurer, if Shelley needed a conference room for the outside auditor or something, we could find a wall here or one of these or something. We wouldn't have to turn it in office and then it'd be storage room, but it'd be easily accessible to people.
If we can store.
Yeah, if we can, that's just a thought. But she's one, if this ends up being where it's full of corral type desks or something, run out of places to do outside auditors or do any kind of meetings or anything.
Turn around and look over your shoulder. That's all I understand. That's just part of it.
Well,
Right, yeah.
that's PPE, that's.
I know, but still,
I just thinking, we don't have to concentrate on making these offices or anything, that we can just make these stores.
I like that. They're already on.
Then reduce, we'll reduce extra parking with the two, those are storage.
you can always be turned into something later, if you ever,
Yeah, it can always be changed, I just think,
ever get a real storage.
because it makes good sense to occupy this side over here, because there can be lighting, and then this side can be storage, and that's GPS, and that also keeps kind of a spacing to it.
And we could use a lot of section of this office for storage. We could sell it.
Yeah, sure. And then, of course, we're still gonna have storage down in the basement here, but, I mean, storage is always gonna be an issue, and we need climate controls, good climate control for it.
And you already got it there.
It's been a while.
Do what?
I was gonna say, it's been a while since we talked about the Boston networking and door security and cameras, and so that'll have to be factored into. But I estimate it's about 25,000 for the total. Everything. So we can have our parts. The cable in there is pretty good, there's just no switches and network for it.
So it's gonna be cheaper than that, probably modify it, antennas.
That'll work, I think.
But then we'll still have a little bit here, we'll figure out here. At least this gives us something to start working on. This figures out what we need, what we can do, and cannot do for doorways here, bathrooms, and everything, so we'll start going to get the architects, check code for this and that.
For a second, think about it, if there's one, I don't empty that building over there with the sale. And number two, this would give us an opportunity to have more parking.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that building. That building. At one point, there was some talk of taking that to more than 10, but.
That's a Delta.
Oh, okay, no, don't.
Junior, but
And I think we still want to do that.
I mean, it would be, it'd be hard to make that market.
Yeah, I think it's
jailer's license who can sometimes bring inmates to help there or bring inmates to help when you want to be, you know, a sworn person. And that's what they did. They brought inmates out to Laker or whatever. So it was easy to have them on.
He used to be city together, we did that. I think it was.
I thought did they change that program, Rick?
From 2 o'clock, I mean, you being full on pay.
Okay.
So,
And it takes a while to get the license. I can't see.
Do your jailer's license, they changed that program?
I do.
no, I can still go get it. It's
Oh, you can?
working, yeah. As far as I know,
You have your jailer's license.
it's a 3 weeks to get your license.
That's one we have. Okay, man, I just get like ready to do something. I hate you folks with it. Because why you sit over there and dig your heels?
Well, here we go. Come on, Jim. Come on,
I've
Jim.
never seen you do that.
Come on,
You,
Jim.
that's when you're gonna work around me.
Let's stay focused. Let's stay focused. No,
Leah, good.
See, he's been here
You know how I do
14
it?
years.
New what?
That she does something.
Yeah, because I'm all thinking most of what you're talking about, we did not talk about that.
No, but he's worked around me 14 years. He knows that I.
But I would have thought you'd done something too, but you're over the.
Yeah, it didn't do me any good to say that.
Well, what, been married before, you know that you
All
don't
right.
argue, you know?
For the record.
I don't think we can get into it this meeting unless you guys have more time.
I need to, yeah.
So, we do need to talk about and get back on the agenda, the election room downstairs on the annexes. When do we want to start? We kept thinking we were going to do that before this election, that's obviously not going to happen. Do we need to get that on that?
See our bids and see what happens. Are we doing early voting in the courtroom right now? I think it was. We've got more time on that.
You can't do anything downstairs until you leave now.
Yeah, it does.
It is.
And we can't do anything with moving him over here until, but we can't do anything downstairs until we move the judge.
That's right. I'll reserve my comments for when everyone see what happens.
Okay.
I'll reserve mine when I see the bids.
I hope
It's
the
going to be
bids,
higher than you think.
I hope the bids come in that we're actually going to put windows and building and floors and everything and paint and then we're going to put change order. It's a little more paint. I've seen that before.
All right, anything else? You guys want to adjourn for today since we've already lost one?